So I'm gonna try not to wave my arms around too much in this tuck. Well, let's be real, I'm gonna wave my arms around. Hi there, Coach Sage of SageRunning.com here with kind of a rant, explanation. Oh, that's a hard word to say. Explanation on why I do the hashtag any service, any distance. And if you followed my training and racing over the last, well, basically since I started doing trail ultra races 5 years ago, 6 years ago almost, I've been mixing things up with doing road marathon stuff, half marathon trail, even 10K mountain races, as well as on the other end of the spectrum doing 50 milers, 100K, even 100-mile ultra races. And usually I like to pick competitive ones on a big stage. So there's a lot of competition and stuff like that. But I just wanted to explain, and I did write some notes down here, so hopefully I don't ramble too much. Just kind of the philosophy behind that, because a lot of people see, I guess, my failures in 2015 trying to qualify for the 2016 U.S. Olympic trials, missing by 12 seconds, and then trying to qualify now for the 2020 U.S. Olympic trials, which I still have a lot of time for, by running a sub 2:19 marathon while mixing it up with ultra marathons and mountain ultra trail racing. So this could be kind of a bad analogy, but I mean the easy answer, I guess, first is I love it. I love the variety. I love the trails. I love the mountains. I also love running fast, even splits on a flat road. I love the pavement. I even love the track. I'm probably not going to race any track 5Ks and 10Ks because that ship's kind of sailed. So I guess I can't say any service, but I did race track in college, obviously, and I enjoy all forms of distance running at a variety of distances, whether it is a 10K or 100 miles. So that's kind of the first thing, I love it. I love the variety. I think it's fun. Now, whether or not that's good for a competitive career, that's kind of what I wanted to do the talk on. So the rough analogy I have, and this probably isn't a very good analogy, is that, a lot of you may know I dabble in playing the guitar and the piano and the banjo, I can barely play the banjo, and the bass, but I'm not very good at any of these instruments, really. I like to dabble in all of them. I also actually, what you probably don't know is I played the alto saxophone for 7 years, and I'm really not very good at the alto saxophone either, because I was more interested in dabbling in the guitar, but I never really got that good at the guitar. So, I have a lot of fun trying to play, half-ass play, all these different instruments, and instead, maybe I could have focused, like I took piano lessons in middle school and high school. I took piano lessons pretty extensively, and I was focused on playing the piano, but, I was never going to be like really that good, and it never interests me to really try to see my full potential in piano playing. For other people, that might be their thing, and they're really good at it, and they enjoy it, and it's great to see the progress when you focus on one specific instrument or one specific running event, something like that, and I greatly respect that. But at the same time, for me, it was kind of like, oh, let's be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So now going into running, still, it's not a great analogy, but hopefully you kind of see where I'm coming from. It's not that I want to half-ass all these running events and I want to sabotage myself and not do well. I thought I could do well, and I'll really reflect to 2015 when I had probably the most extreme mix-up of any service, any distance. I ran the LA Marathon 5 weeks later, I ran the Boston Marathon, placed well there. I was happy with that 16th place at Boston. But then I was like, oh yeah, a month later I'll do Comrades, and then right after that I'll do Speed Goat and UTMB, and it'll be all okay. Well, that's a tough transition. And then after UTMB, I got injured that year during UTMB, but I was about to sign up for the Frankfurt Marathon, which was 8 weeks later. And now looking back on that, I'm like, that was insane. Like, if I had finished UTMB, there's no way I would have been able to run a sub 2:19 marathon at Frankfurt 8 weeks later, because now I know, and again, the benefit of hindsight, learning from your mistakes in the past, that I generally am going to need more time to transition and get my speed back. More on that later. So, that's the first thing is It's a tough transition, and I don't mean that as an excuse. It certainly probably comes off as a bunch of excuses, but I want to do well in every ultra trail race that I toe the starting line. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking I could win. I want to try to win these big ultra trail races. Whereas when I toe the starting line at the Boston Marathon or the Olympic Trials or even the Houston Marathon, I know I'm not going to win. I'm not trying to win. I can't win. I'm not going to get top 3 probably because I physically am pretty sure I don't have the potential to run under 2:12 or 2:10 in the marathon. That being said, I've focused extensively on the marathon after college for 3 years as a professional road runner, and I got down to 2:16:52. I might never touch that again, but that's really okay for me because it would be great. I really respect the guys that run faster than 2:16 and 2:15, but I respect anyone at any level that maximizes their potential in the marathon. And I think a lot of people, it's hard to do, and it takes a lot of dedication, and I respect that. I respect that process. It's not the process that I want to go through because I'm more interested in still doing these ultra mountain trail races. So there's a April Fool's, well, it wasn't in April, it was more recently, article, I think it was in Spanish, on Kilian is going to enter the London Marathon, and so then people were speculating, what could Kilian Jornet run a marathon in, a flat road marathon? But it was a kind of a joke article. Some people took it seriously. When I saw it at first, I was excited because I thought he would run a road marathon, but he's probably not going to. Maybe he will in the future. I hope he does. But runners like that are mountain athletes. He loves the mountains. He obviously loves to really actually climb mountains, but also ski, as well as doing a bunch of sky running types of events, classic mountain running routes, and he's really good at it. But that being said, he's probably not going to run a flat road marathon. It's a totally different type of running, and he does really well in the mountains as a mountain athlete. But that's also where his passion is. That's where he, has fun and enjoys the competition and enjoys being out there. I love the mountains too. I wouldn't have moved to Colorado if I didn't like the mountains, if I just liked road running. But for me, I like mixing it up. And just some examples of other runners that I could think of that do any service, any distance. My Hoka teammate Mike Wardian, he's never afraid of any challenges. He'll go in and do stage races, long races, 100 miles, but he'll also do a local 5K or 10K, and he'll do the half marathon, and he'll do road marathons, and he was really good at road marathons. People were always like, well, if you just rested up and focused on one marathon, maybe you could lower your PR, but he wasn't interested in doing that. He's interested in racing frequently and on back-to-back weekends sometimes doing road marathons, but also doing the trail stuff. Max King, a big idol of mine, someone who got me into mountain ultra trail running. I looked up to him. He went to Cornell as well, was from Oregon originally, and is older than me, so I look up to Max King. Great range, great any surface, any distance type of runner. He's fifth or 6th in the Olympic trials in the 3K steeple. Top 20 in the Olympic trials in the marathon. He's a 2:14 marathon runner. He was great at half marathon, made some US teams in cross country as well, but he still likes to mix it up in the mountains too, and he's done 100 milers and 100K and a lot of 50K mountain races, and I think he has a similar Crowley mindset to me. We both like the mountains, but we still like to go to the Olympic trials, and we still like to run on the roads and do these competitive road marathons and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of some background, but there is a lot to be said, obviously, about specific training and a specific focus for the challenges of the events you've had, the events that you are targeting. And I botch that. I make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I made mistakes training in high school as well. But I try to be as transparent as I can with you guys and let you in on the process. And even last year, changing it up with any service, any distance, I had some mediocre results. I still was able to win Lake Sonoma, top 3 podium in all the ultra trail races I did, Hong Kong, Chuckanut, except for UTMB. I did not get the podium at UTMB. UTMB was a failure. Speed Goat, as well as shorter mountain races, Vail Games 10K, Mount Washington, things like that. But ultimately, UTMB, it was really bad prep, and Coach Sandy had warned me ahead of time. I wasn't listening to her because I was obsessed on doing Mount Washington, which is a lot shorter of a race, that I kind of botched my results after that in the summer training. And going into UTMB, which I do want to do again, the UTMB 100 as well as Western States for that matter, is that I need a specific training focus for 100 milers, because though I've really failed bad at the 3 that I've tried there. 50 miles, it translates a little bit better. Usually if it's a runnable 50 miler, it correlates really highly with road marathon speed and fitness, but the 100 milers, different ball game. Even a gnarly 100K in the mountains could be a different ball game. So I want to respect the distance and respect the event, and I'm not going to do UTMB this summer, even though I had the points, but I want to focus specifically on or Coach Sandy knows that I should focus specifically, and I agree, of course, that, you know, going into UTMB, whenever I do it again, I want to do some 100Ks, probably 100K in April or May, to really prepare and do long mountain training all summer, and not be doing, you know, Mount Washington, Mount Blanc Marathon, and this and this and this, because I didn't have consistent high mileage and my training was very sporadic and inconsistent. And then when you throw in the road marathon training on top of that, it gets even worse. And I'll talk about the transition and what we found from coaching athletes that do a lot of any service, any distance, and have really good success actually. But the transition is different depending on where you're coming from. So, you know, with my season this year, I'm going to keep the momentum going for another road marathon this spring, because I'm in road marathon training now. It's what I've been doing the last 3 months. I was close at Houston. I think I just need more time. You know, I'll announce what marathon I'm doing really soon. Probably got it figured out. There's always a risk with weather. There's always a risk with injury. And then you don't know for sure what's going to happen on race day, but I'm going to prepare as closely as possible and listen to Coach Sandy more. So that's my spiel on that. I could have a whole separate season. But I'm not going to do UTMB, not going to do any long ultras this year, because I'm in that road marathoning mode and I want to capitalize on my speed. And I have a lot of fun doing races. Like I want to do the Mount Blanc Marathon again, trail marathon, 42K, right? The Pikes Peak Marathon. I want to do the Pikes Peak Marathon. It's always, I love the ascent. I like to train to go up and down fast. You know, another 42K trail race, mountain race. So I'm going to be doing more races like that in the 42K, 50K mountain range realm. Mount Washington also again. Because I'm coming off of this road speed, I'm trying to take advantage of it. The other thing in the back of my mind, for my career at least, is that I want to do well in the shorter races while I'm still in my early 30s, whereas I think you could still do well in your mid to late 30s, or even much older for a lot of people, at the longer 100-mile distances, right? At the older ages, you could still rock these ultra marathon distances, whereas time is limited for me, even in events like the road marathon. You know, VO2 max drops with age. It's no secret. I've run a lot of road marathons in my day, and had, you know, a great focus on road marathons in my mid-20s, but, you know, now that I'm a little older, I want to still take advantage of that before the VO2 max drops off more, is to do well at these relatively shorter types of events. But I still think I could rock it through my mid-30s even, but especially at the longer distances, I don't see, you just get more experience and more old man strength for the longer distances. So I think, you know, put UTMB and those other 100-milers kind of on the back burner for now, maybe next year. But yeah, where was I going with that? So it's, you know, a limited time, and, you know, maybe it's being foolish. In 2015, we saw my failure at 100-milers, and then mixing it up with any service, any distance after road marathons, and then failing in the road marathon again. And you could say, okay, what did you learn from that lesson? Did you learn anything from 2015, and how did you apply it to 2017 and to this year, 2018? Well, you could say, I mean, that's a definition of stupidity, basically, is doing the same thing over and over, the same process, and expecting a different result. Or, you know, thinking, you know, hey, I fell short of my goals in the road marathon by a couple seconds a mile. You know, I'm going to do the same thing again and again and keep failing. Well, that is kind of stupid, and I admit to that. You know, I make mistakes, but there's also kind of this obsessive OCD-like repetition, I think, that I like to get into, as well as being over-analytical and flapping my arms around and ranting like I am now. But, you know, truth be told, I actually struggled with a lot of anxiety throughout middle school, high school, when I was younger, and kind of OCD-related things like that. And it was really hard to overcome, but running helped me kind of focus my energy in on that. And running's been, you know, a big part of my life, thanks to the generosity of the community, viewers like you. So going off on a tangent here. What I want to say, final words to wrap up, is, you know, it's a process, and you got to do what you love, you got to do what you enjoy and what you're passionate about. And for me to try to succeed and meet my goals, which I really do want to do, I do want to qualify for Olympic trials, but I also want to win more ultra trail races, is that, you know, I've learned that I need more time. And essentially, you know, I said this in 2015, mistakes I made training myself for the marathon. I was like, oh, you know, I need 6 months or 8 months of speed training to get my marathon time back, which could very well be true. And again, rushing it before Houston, I had 3 months about. So, you know, now going into Boston, I'll have that 6 months. Whether it's going to be enough, it's going to be close probably. You know, I'll see. But that's kind of the idea now, is to keep this momentum going and then to transition them into more short mountain races, not the really long ultras. Granted, they are mountain races, so it is quite a bit different, but I think that transition, Coach Sandy and I have seen this a lot with athletes we coach, as well as other faster, speedy runners that I've seen that have moved up from traditional track and road backgrounds, is that transition is usually easier to make and faster to make. If you're coming from road, half marathon, a marathon, you're used to that intensity and speed. You could usually translate pretty well to a runnable 50K or even a runnable 50 miler, or even a flat runnable 100 miler for that matter. 100 miles on the track is a lot different than 100 miles in the mountains, right? So you know, that economy is still there, that flat running speed and economy, and if you have that, you could usually climb pretty well also. But if it's runnable, if it's technical, it starts getting more tricky. So that transition is good. Now the transition from doing 100 milers and all these really long ultras down to a road marathon, I think is harder, and it takes more time, because getting that flat speed back takes more time. And genetic differences between people, a lot of athletes that Sandy's helped coach and guide have had great success doing this, getting Boston qualifying marathon times, sub 3-hour marathon times, who come down from ultras, and maybe they haven't run a ton of road marathons, so they usually could smash it out of the park. They get a good aerobic base in. So a lot of you that maybe you do any surface, any distance, and you're thinking about maybe doing a road marathon, or vice versa, moving up to 50-mile ultra or 50K ultra, 100-mile ultra. You could make the transition really well, but it's going to require the specific training. You could probably, if you're moving down from a long ultra, and you have that big base, you could probably really surprise yourself at a road marathon and PR, or run a fast time. Unlike me, who is focused extensively for 3 years out of college, 100% on half marathons and full marathons, it's a little harder for me to get back down to my PR, and I'm just trying to get within 2.5 minutes, basically, or not even 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes. I need to get within 2 minutes of my PR that I set when I was 100% focused. But again, focus isn't always going to be there, but I'm trying to lengthen out my training cycles now, so I do have that specific focus, and I want to give races like the UTMB 100 its correct respect. So instead of saying, oh yeah, I'm going to do this road marathon training and then go right into long ultras and UTMB, I know that's too tight of a schedule now, and I'm trying to be patient with it, and that's what I've learned, I guess, from my past mistakes. So thanks for following along on this journey. Again, really appreciate it. All the support that you guys have with your comments and thumbs up and just subscribing on here, even watching these long videos and rants. Hope your running's going well. Again, part of our coaching philosophy at sagerunning.com is we have training plans for any service, any distance, 5K, 10K, half marathon, road stuff, the ultra, 50K, 100K, 100 miles. Because we really believe in that, and it's all about the hashtag there is athlete empowerment, right? We want to see you reach your goals, and it's rewarding for us to see as well. So thanks for following along. Really appreciate your support. Hope your running's going well, and stay tuned for more Sage Running videos.